Today we're going to talk about classifying polynomials. Alright, first of all we have to know with a polynomial. A polynomial is an expression that consists of numbers and variables, but the variables have to be raised to whole number exponents. So, it's an expression that consists of numbers and variables, and those variables are raised to whole number exponents. Okay, so with our numbers, those can be constants. That means they don't have a variable with them. Or they could be coefficients. So examples of polynomial expressions would be like 2x. It's a number with a variable. These are examples. Or we could have 4x squared minus 3. Or we could have something like negative 8x to the third plus 2x minus 7. All of these are examples of polynomials. So, what are non-examples? What are things that are not polynomials? Okay, things that we cannot have are negative exponents. Like we couldn't have 5x squared minus x to the negative first. That is not a polynomial. Okay? And just like a negative exponent, we can't have division by a variable because this negative exponent actually means division. So we couldn't have something like 2 over x squared. That is not a polynomial. We're going to give Clayton a chance to catch up with us since he just checked in the class.
Y'all thought I was not going to be here.
No, we know you should.
Yeah, Joe told us you were here.
You're so good. I got you with stuff I already want. I thought I was going to catch up, but if it was 2-0, it was good. If it wasn't 2-0, I could have caught up. It was 5-2. I made it 2 on your face. No, I'm almost done. I'm at the negative 7. Alright.
Alright. Okay, so we have 2 ways of classifying polynomials. So once we decide if something is a polynomial, how do we classify that polynomial? We can classify polynomials 2 different ways. The first one is by number of terms. Okay, so if it just has one term, Like, let's give some examples. Some examples of ones that just have one term. We could have like negative 3x, one term. We could have the number 5, that's one term. We could have n squared, that's one term. Does everybody see one term in our expression? If it's just one term, it is named monomial or monomial. Because what does the prefix mono mean?
One.
One. Okay. All right, if it has 2 terms, some of you already remember. Very good. We call that a binomial.
3 got binomial.
Good. Okay, so let's give some examples of binomials. 2x plus 1. The plus or minus separates our terms. So that's 1 term, 2 terms. Okay, let's give another example.
I always remember the third.
Y to the 4th minus 6y. 1 term, 2 terms.
So you wanna know how I
Binomial.
remember-
Huh?
You want to know how I remember this? I remember it because like there's 1 plus and it's binomial, but there's like more than 1 plus sign is trinomial.
Okay.
There's 4 plus signs.
Let's do one of those 3-termed ones.
There's gonna be 2 signs.
That's like our quadratics could be a trinomial. X squared minus 4x plus 5. 1, 2, 3 terms. That would be a trinomial. 3. Now, if it's more than 3, so if we have an example that's more than 3, let's just do one that has 4. So we have 5x cubed minus 2x squared plus x minus 8. This has 1, 2, 3, 4. Anything more than 3, we just call a polynomial. Because what does the prefix poly mean?
4 and more.
Many. Many. So if it has many terms, we call it a polynomial. 3 terms, tri. Well, tri, the prefix means 3. Bi can mean 2. Mono, 1. Now, you might see it called a polynomial with 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Or a polynomial with 6 terms. Yeah, any number greater than 3. Okay, so that's one way we classify our polynomial, by the number of terms. Now the second way we classify our polynomial is by degree. So this is our second classification, by degree. The first one was by number of terms. Okay, so we're going to do the degree, the name, and an example. Okay, so if the degree is, we can have 0. The name of a polynomial with a degree of 0, it's called a constant.
Ooh.
And constants are just plain old numbers. Like 4, 88, 31, -2, plain old numbers. All of those are examples of constants. Okay, now let's do a first degree. A first degree we call linear. So a first degree might be like 5x to the first power If it's to the first power, do we really write a 1?
No.
No. Or 6n minus 4. The degree of this expression is 1. So if it's bigger than a monomial, like this one is a binomial. Whenever it's larger than a monomial, what you have to do is look at your expressions. This one has 1 term and 2 terms in that expression. Which expression has the higher exponent?
No.
This is understood to be 1, and a just plain old number is 0. So when you have an expression with multiple terms, you have to look at a term that has the highest exponent. Okay? So let's do second degree. This one's called quadratic. Whoops, left out my eye. So an example of a quadratic might be like 3x squared. This would be a quadratic monomial because the degree is 2 and it just has 1 term. Let's write a quadratic binomial now. Let's say we have 4x squared minus 2x. This is a quadratic binomial because the highest degree is 2 and it has 2 terms. What could I do to turn this into a quadratic trinomial? Put another number at the end. Now it's a quadratic trinomial. So you name it by highest degree.
Pull it open. How did I not get that yet?
Okay. Let's look at a third degree. Thank you, Sarah. It is called a cubic. You're so right. This is a cubic. So an example might be just n cubed. We would call this one a cubic monomial. Or we could have like y cubed minus 6y squared plus y plus 4. This is a cubic polynomial because it has more than 3.
I thought that was called like
We're getting there.
that's one.
Okay. A degree of 4 is called quartic.
Alright, wait,
Last semester you did. Quartic. So we might have like 5a to the 4th plus 2a squared. This would be a quartic what? How many terms is this?
Binomial.
1, 2. Binomial. Quartic binomial. Okay, let's do a 5th degree. Does anybody remember the name?
Quintic.
Quintic. Very good. Quintic. Okay, so a 5th degree would be quintic.
Quintic.
Okay, so this would be a quintic
Trinomial.
what? Trinomial. Now, most of the time when we look at these, they're all in terms of one variable. But sometimes they might ask us to name it by degree when it has more than one variable. And so if that's the case, let's say we had 2x to the 3rd y. When we have more than one, to name it by degree, do you see that all this is one term? There's no pluses or minuses. So it's one term. What we have to do when there are multiple variables is to add those variables. This is an understood y to the 1st, and 3 plus 1 is 4. So this would be a quartic monomial.
Oh my goodness.
Okay? So the only other thing I think we could see is something like this, where we might have m to the third n squared minus 2m squared n. So when we look at these, it's got 1, 2 terms. Does everybody see the 2 terms? The 2 terms are separated by the minus. So we know it's a binomial. Okay, because we have multiple variables, we have to add them. So 3 plus 2 is 5, and 2 plus 1 is 3. We always go with the bigger one. So this is 5th degree. Does 5th have a special name? Quintic. There are, but what we do, if the degree is greater than 5, what we would do is just call it an nth degree polynomial. Okay, so let's say let me give you an example. So if the degree is greater than 5, so let's say I gave you 2x squared y to the 4th. This is, what degree is that? We would call this a 6th degree monomial. Okay? All right. So I think this is going to be it for our lesson today. I do not want you to work through the tutorial. I want you to go straight to the mastery test. If during the mastery test I see there's something else I need to teach everybody, I will. If not, complete the mastery test, and then anything that you're missing from the last unit, we have to go back and fill in. Okay? All right?
Not good at all. It should have been 2 to 3. You started up to, it should have been 2. I should have counted those 2 from over there.
Okay, if after completing the mastery test you have questions about your regular math class, I can answer those too.
Like, but